You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, what you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hell of a day to get started on a Monday following 19 PSAs. I'm good. We're feeling good. Caleb's over there. I'm John right here. We have a loaded show. So the Colts have released their official depth chart. We will gather around this sheet of paper and break it down. Actually, we won't, but we'll talk about it, I'm sure, because we do have football coming up later on this week, and we do have a pregame show of football coming up later on this week. I believe that our good man, Eddie Garrison, has that up there on the board. 4:30 for the Colts pregame huddle on Thursday. About that, the band's all back together again. That starts coming up on Thursday. Joint practices in New England with the Patriots. We'll be all about that coming up as well. I will continue to talk about this. I was on with Tony Katz this morning and mentioned at some point, and I know that the DJ Montgomery has been here, and yay, okay. But at some point, you are going to, and whether Alec Pierce returns, when, if, and how he returns, or that everything is okay with Josh Downs, you have to go out and get somebody else of significance. The clock is ticking. The numbers are dwindling of those that can do anything for it. It's not like we're tripping the light fantastic in general here. Here's the other thing. There have been so many different times, and this is a rarity, so many different times when the media or the fan base has been more accurate, more on the ball, more understanding of what is necessary. Let's face it, and fans, I'll put you in. I guess I'm the media. Hell, I don't care if I'm the media or not the media. I don't give a fat crap. But let's just go ahead and lump us all together. Most of the time, we don't know jack squat. Seriously. We don't know jack squat. We come on here, there he is. We come on here and we have opinions and we yip-yap for 3 hours a day. But yeah, a lot of these things, we don't double back and say how wrong we were. Oh, I do, I guess, because you guys call me out. I have to own a lot of the things I'm wrong about. But so many times over the course of the past 10 years, which coincides with Chris Ballard being here, so many times it seems like that the media and the fan base would be out in front of the thought process, the direction, and the motivation of the team. That is pretty bad. And I'm talking about the team. I'm talking about the organization. I guess when you look at that in these terms, when they say, hey, if you start taking the advice of those sitting in the stands, you're going to find yourself sitting there. Well, you know, in this case, there are a lot of examples where you could have taken the advice of those sitting in the stands and maybe it would have worked out better. You know, there's no prize for that. We're not going to get a trophy. I'm not asking for a trophy or any admiration whatsoever. But I'm just going to tell you if there are reasons as to why this organization finds itself rotten with question marks and really a great deal of hope. I start basically every segment regarding the Colts when we get down into it and lock in and talk it up is, hey, I hope everything's going okay. Other teams say, yeah, we believe these are things positively and how they're going to go here. It's, hey, I'm going to cross my fingers, shut my eyes, and hold on and hope. This cannot be another example. It's one of those things where we talk about a lot of things as well. Over my years, I started doing it on my own back in 2004 in November. So, I fully understand that we talk about a lot of things in the preseason where it's absolute waste of time, effort, and certainly breath. Nothing ever comes to fruition. There are so many different players that we had tremendous dialogue about going back all these seasons, and it didn't matter 1 ounce. I just happen to think this one is going to matter. And this has nothing to do with my feeling regarding Ashton Doolin or Nick Akine, Westbrook Akine, nothing. I didn't know DJ Montgomery. I'm sure he's just here to be a camp body. I just know this, at some point, you have to significantly address the issue. And maybe it comes down to the veteran does not want to jack around with Cam. He doesn't want to go to New England. He doesn't want to deal with joint practices, whomever this might be. We're all just thinking it's going to be a former connection to the head coach. I will say this, the head coach seemingly has something going on. Everybody loves the play calling ability. Everybody loves the play calling ability. Everybody loves the effect he had on Daniel Jones a year ago. Those are things that are true. But the other things that are also true is the fact that this team rarely stays healthy, is capable of staying healthy for a while. And then ultimately what happens? You have to go down a different path, or you feel like you're unprepared. And you're always saying, well, we just got bit by the injury bug. At some point in time, it's more about you than it is about everything else that happens. So I am a little bit surprised. I shouldn't be, but I am a little bit surprised that nothing has come about regarding this just yet. That we shall see. But I'm not so sure. Yeah, if you're asking me about the standouts from camp so far, I think the one thing that stands out to me, and we'll see when it gets real, when you're actually having guys try to track you down with bad intentions in mind. That'll change. But for right now, you're thinking about an injury and coming back from that and how you've seen Daniel Jones and how everybody describes Daniel Jones. That's great. Now, on the other hand, I will also tell you this. I'm not really too fond of wanting to get into at all for Anthony Richardson. We've known the outcome of this for a while. So what did anybody think that we were going with it? And it is weird. There is such an incredible combination. I've explained you had all these cultivated WNBA/basketball fans because the phenomenon of Caitlin Clark, it's not about the game, but everybody seemingly has either fallen in love, and then there's the other side, can't stand Caitlin Clark. One of the most polarizing figures anywhere, not just in basketball, sure as hell not just in the WNBA. But it seems like what this has done, it's cultivated so many non-fans or people that didn't know or wouldn't really care or never watch basketball, and then it kind of vaulted them into, they think they're like John Wooden Jr.'s here, and they really don't know their ass from nothing. And there's a similar point to be made regarding the love affair with Anthony Richardson, because you only had a play here or there. Everything else was make-believe. Everything else you were thinking, wow, I'm a gamer, and I'm going to get on my video game, and I'm going to create a player, and it's going to look exactly like this guy. There is no doubt if the looks told the story, this dude would be absolutely unstoppable. But the people that have held on to this dream that is about as far from reality as possible are all those, to me, is that Generation Z? Are you Generation Z in there, Caleb? Is that you, or are you Generation Z?
Yes.
And that's, they see something that I guess they have seen in a video game, in the midst of their non-dating nerdery that they have cultivated into something that is not exactly real. And they've argued and argued and argued to no avail. And ultimately, the player has to play. It has to show. So there's really not much more to talk about. It is just really weird how that was cultivated with Anthony Richardson and how the phenomenon of Caitlin Clark cultivated former non-basketball fans that all of a sudden became basketball genius. And here we are. Speaking of basketball genius, you guys want to get into this weekend of basketball genius? I am not, and I should be, because if we ever got together, we're very like-minded thinkers. Now, I'm assuming he's much smarter than me. But you know this to be true. I've never really been the biggest fan of Bill Simmons. And maybe you can find that clip of him talking about the WNBA, because a lot of what he has said about the WNBA are things that I have said about the WNBA. So I think we're like-minded thinkers. He loves pop culture. That is great, but he also loves New England, and I think New England sucks. And not just the Patriots, but most of it. I think it sucks. And we all got kind of tired of hearing from Bill Simmons about the Patriots. And when Deflategate and all this stuff happened, we all got sick and tired of hearing that. And then you had Bill Simmons and the Celtics, and you get sick and tired of hearing about that. Now, if the old school Celtics with Larry Bird, you never get tired of that. But he cultivated himself as not just a basketball guy, but then an all-sports guy, and then went over into pop culture, and we have similarities in that capacity. So you're right if you're saying you should really like him because you guys are not equal in smarts, because I'm about as smart as this tabletop. But we are equal in terms of what we like, what we enjoy, whether it's sports or entertainment or movies or television shows or music. We are certainly in that same category. He's just been widely, massively more successful than your good friend sitting right here. And 2 thumbs up like Fonzarelli to him for that. However, what he had to say about the WNBA, or we'll get to coming up in a little bit, is accurate. They need new leadership. They do. And what I have said about the WNBA is I want it to be about basketball. And with this leadership, it's never going to be about basketball, because it's not like anybody really rallies and then spotlights the talent they have, because there is talent there. Now, it depends on, how you view, talent. If you look at the NBA and the WNBA, they're just simply put, there are massive differences in the talent. But in terms of basketball on whatever level, the WNBA has a ton of stars. Yet the only thing that you ever hear is pissing and moaning about the WNBA. Now, let's face it, the only thing you ever hear around here is pissing and moaning about the Fever. And the Fever, they don't handle it well either. They haven't yet. The WNBA, and really, that's where it starts. Your leader has to set the trend and the tone for everybody else. And in this case, that has not happened. Thus, you constantly find yourself, I think Simmons referenced it as constantly stepping into bear traps. They just look unprepared. By now, you should have some sort of blueprint or game plan about how to handle it. And they don't act like that they have the foggiest idea. And oftentimes, the Fever have shown the same thing. And I have been a tremendous defender of Stephanie White. From a coaching angle, her coaching has been, for the most part, other than stuff that you can go at and just be critical of because she's a coach in general anyway. To me, a lot of the shortcomings that we see on the floor comes down to the players and what they do, the mistakes they make. the decision making, the lack of defense, the lack of rebounding, fouling too much, turning the ball over too much. That, to me, is well out of the control of the head coach. But here's what is. At this point in time, if I'm Stephanie White and I had to exit from social media because of all the jackassery, and I haven't heard her on with Jake. I know that she had a really nice relationship with Jake coming on all the time. I don't think we've heard her on Jake with Query and Company in a while. And there's reasons behind that because you get tired of it and you just kind of, you hunker down, if you will. And you try to make everything as normal surrounding basketball as you can. And I thought Saturday afternoon, after the player ejection and what took place in that win, 90-86 over Chicago. So you had a player for the Sky that basically, by the neck, tackled Sophie Cunningham. That's really the only way you can put it. Dejanay Carrington, tackled by the neck, Sophie Cunningham. And then you had a lot of the ESPN world coming to her defense and saying, well, look at the past. Look how many plays she's made. It was nothing but a reckless, and the only thing that could have come out of that, there was going to be no defensive play made. It was reckless, and all it was going to do was injure somebody. Because one thing is, she's not talented or athletic enough to do that. And that's why when you look around the WNBA, you rarely see block shots unless it's just a taller player standing up with their arms stretched out trying to block somebody down low, or you get a block from coming in from behind. Because the athleticism compared to the block shots that we're used to seeing, that's not part of their game. So the only outcome from that and that track down was going to be exactly what we saw, and it was malicious. I don't know about the whole – you guys can – the nerds all go with, well, there was wind up there. It was just a reckless, dumbass play. I don't know if that is in the is that in the rule book, reckless and dumbass. That's what it was. That was a dumbass play, and all you're going to accomplish – you scored anyway. You're not going to accomplish getting anything done defensively. All you're going to do is compromise yourself and your team. And then you're going to go into the locker room and you're going to send something out on Instagram and look like an even bigger dumbass. And then with that, you're going to make your team and your league look like a bunch of dumbasses. That's all you're going to do. That's all this is accomplished. And that's yet another reason why the WNBA needs new leadership and new guidance. But for Stephanie White, if I were her, and I know nobody over there is listening and nobody over there cares, and frankly, that's okay. Because it's not like you guys are providing a great deal of leadership in the first place. You are basically right there with the WNBA. So I'm just going to hand out this advice, and if somebody hears it, so be it. If somebody does it, because you know how I do defend Stephanie White as the coach. But as I defend her as a coach, she has to defend her players. These guys are all in the huddle together. And the only thing different in defensively looking at that malicious play is trying to figure out whether there was intent. Who cares? It was reckless. And anybody can see that. But once you get around your team, that's who you're with. That's who's playing for you. That's who you're coaching. That's your family. You defend your family. You defend your family. I would expect that every single time, and I think you do it vehemently. You do it like I defend you as a coach. When things don't work out, when you don't foul when you're up 3 on a final play. I defend the fact there wasn't enough time. I'll defend you as the coach, but you have to defend your team. And it was malicious, and it was reckless, And that's all you need. I don't care about the brand of Sophie Cunningham. I don't care about the thoughts of white privilege after the game, of Carrot. None of that matters. You defend, you huddle up, and you stay tight with your team. And the dialogue after that game on Saturday did not speak to the level in which it should have. And I'm not going to try to read the body language of the players, including Caitlin Clark up there. Somebody else can read the body language. I can just tell you, you stay tight. That's not tight. And that's what's necessary. And if I'm Stephanie White, it really wouldn't matter to me. I'm getting it from every single direction. Had I said or taken my advice, if you're Stephanie White, she probably still would be slung with the arrows. It doesn't matter what she does. She's always going to be criticized. But you want to make sure everybody in that locker room, everybody in that huddle is tight. And that wasn't great. I guess I don't understand what needs to be done. People say, well, they're not getting coached up enough. They're not getting guidance. My God, that's just sports. That's just sports. It's almost, can you imagine? You imagine going all the way back to the 80s where stuff like this was commonplace. You know, one of the most noted plays in history was that playoff game with the Celtics and the Lakers when Kevin McHale clotheslined Kurt Rambis. That's exactly what it was. It was a clothesline with a purpose. And even if there was not significant purpose behind it, right? It was, again, reckless. It was dangerous. And it was dealt with the way that it should have been dealt with. Just not by the Fever head coach after the game. You can't be doing that stuff. There's zero way. And I had to watch the ESPN, I don't know, whoever on the show. You could tell me, Caleb. Who are the ones on the show, the WNBA show? And they go back to a lot of these track down plays. Listen, this Carrington chick is not LeBron James, okay? That stuff's not going to happen. There's zero way these women are going to be able to jump up and discard from the side. Every single time you're going to make contact, and that's dangerous contact. It has nothing to do with white privilege or no, there's no privilege there. That was the easiest call the WNBA and the officials have made this season. Now, rescinding the technical at Caitlin Clark was the second easiest, but that was the easiest. I don't even know why, at this point in time, with the rest of the league and everybody around it, and with all that's coming at her, I don't know why Stephanie White, who was a fantastic player and a fantastic teammate, you got to get this thing tight. Man, you're leaving loose ends on Saturday afternoon. You don't want that. That is the only way you get through, again, the world in which has been created by the fandom of Caitlin Clark and the focus on getting the responses that a lot of those media hijackers out there get off on. They see the response and they go with it. Otherwise, they really don't care. They don't care anything about what happens in these games. You think Jason Whitlock's all of a sudden a big WNBA fan? Hell no, he's not. I mean, he gets response for whatever the hell he does right now. That's it. Nothing else. Otherwise, he wouldn't care. And really, if that's what you do, I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming any of these guys for what they say. If you want to verbally grift and, take people with you, that's the time to do it. And certainly that is the subject matter to do it. But if you're the Fever, you got to tighten up. And you've said all. Caitlin Clark says all the right things about being about basketball, and you got to be hardcore and say those are the types of plays that you absolutely have to eliminate. That was so much more egregious than even the fist to the throat or the neck area of Caitlin Clark. You have to come out because nobody else cares about you. Everybody else out there wants you canned. Everybody wants you canned. I think I saw, what's his name? Beckwith, the lieutenant governor. You think that dude's ever dribbled a basketball in his life? Hell no. His cheeks are way too rosy to be dribbling a basketball. There's zero way he's ever dribbled a basketball, yet now he wants the Fever coach fired. You guys don't need that. Just stay tight with your team. And that didn't get it done. And I will also tell you, even if it's something that you thought was to the detriment of the league, the hell with it. The league's discombobulated as hell. Worry about the people you're going to battle with. Don't worry about the people you're going to battle with and their thoughts or their brands. You coach them, you stay tight with them. I know it's easier said than done, but damn. So many years of hoop and not to recognize that it's flabbergasting. It really is. So anyway, I know you don't listen over there. I know nobody over there has ever been on the show, and that's okay. I don't really care. But my advice, again, which you won't hear or you'll leave, is make sure that everybody in that locker room, in that huddle, is on the same page with you. And you didn't do that. Stay tight. And there was zero defense of that defensive move of Carrington, even though you saw that from ESPN and others. There's not a way in the world she's going to track down anybody from behind and block it from behind. And you're lucky Sophie Cunningham in this case wasn't injured more than she was. That's a reckless play. You can't have that. Anybody that's ever played basketball understands it. Why don't they? Quick break. We'll come back from that on the other side, too. We got Stephen Holder's going to join us. We'll talk Colts and depth chart. You guys want to hear the first official depth chart of the 2026 Colts camp? You guys so excited you just can't. Where's Jesse Spano to sing some Pointer Sisters for us right here? I'm so excited. I just can't. I'm so excited. You know what I'm talking about? Saved by the Bell. Jesse Spano over there. Caleb, come on now.
I know the song.
She was taking speed so she could stay up and study. And Zach Morris was the voice of reason. You can't sing tonight, Jesse. You're stoned. So excited. We'll do that with Steven coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Is a mutual friend of ours coming on this show? Have I heard this accurately in the 4 o'clock hour?
He is. I think people will love to hear this story, you know?
Now, I will say, among those that are first in line to make fun of what they do all the time, that would be me. I can't say what I call them on the air. Wiffle blanks. Now, I have an axe to grind on it because whenever the wiffle blanks end up wiffle blanking, I always get screwed on a Sunday and we're not able to play. Nobody opens the gym. We can't play. So the wiffle blanks are wiffle blanking, and then I'm kind of stuck, right? And by the way, shout out to Jason Wiseman, injured, and then all these new dudes that showed up yesterday and played 12 strong when it was 105 degrees in the Center Grove Central Gymnasium. It would have been an awesome morning had I not sucked. Other than that, it was just kind of halfway awesome because I got a good sweat, knocked out about 1,200 calories. Now, Brendan Dudas is the baseball coach at Southport. He is one of the more awesome dudes anybody out there will ever meet. And he is a member of the New York Green Apples Championship Wiffle Blank team. I'm going to have to say wiffle blank the entire time.
Big League Wiffle Champions is also acceptable, but you can do what you want.
Wiffle. Yep. Now, we are going to joke a little because I watched these games. It was on the Ocho last week, right? Their championship game was on the Ocho. And did you see, I sent him a text and I said, hey, Dudas, go make some contact. These guys never make any contact.
I know.
It's just get up to the plate and strike out.
Well, you can ask him about that.
Well, these wiffle balls, these pitches they throw look like something out of a cartoon where it does like a corkscrew.
It's almost like a boomerang that's going to come right back at you.
It starts out about 25 feet to the left. It comes back in and hits the target. The New York Green Apples, and he is a mutual friend of Caleb and I. His name is Brendan Dudas, and he was a part of that championship team, and we are proud to have him. He's got actually a field. Have you seen the dirt yard before?
On social media. I need to get there in person, though.
He's got the dirt yard down there. The wiffle blanks. See if you can guess what I call the wiffle blanks.
Yeah, I can guess.
See if you can guess. Have you heard me put it in there before?
Yes.
Hey, it looks like we're getting wiffle blanked. Man, Dudas is awesome, though. Dudas is going to join us at the 4 o'clock hour. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Now, you can find us anywhere. Stream, app, HD radio. You can watch us. Spicoli right here, rocking the Vans T-shirt. Got a lot more for you on what is going to be a spectacular week and where you can join me out on the road. I'll explain coming up. Stay right there. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Here's a weather update.
Today's forecast from the Fox 59 Weather Authority.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms continue overnight. Temperatures only cooling down to around 75 degrees. More scattered storms in the forecast for Tuesday. Strong winds and heavy rain possible with highs in the low 90s. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Kendall Wilson for The Fan.
John for Connecticut Water Systems in your home like now. If you don't have Connecticut, you don't have the best water, my friend Joe can help you out too. They'll come in and give you a test on your water, find out exactly what they can do for you, meaning they will put together a system specific for your water needs. Drinkability, washability, bathability, all of that. If you don't have Connecticut, you don't have the best. Go with the best right now and get my friend Joe or somebody on that staff from Connecticut to your place to test your water absolutely free today. Sign up online. Tell them I sent you right now. That's Connecticut.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Are you kidding? You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium? But this whole place sucks. That's right, it sucks.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Instead, it's all this discourse stuff, and they're just stepping in bear traps left and right because they have no adults in charge of the league. Their finals are going to be on 2 different channels, depending on the game. How stupid and desperate for money do you have to be to agree to that? They by far have the best collection of players that I think they've had. I don't know anybody who thinks they're well run. So they have to fix this, and I hope they do.
That is Bill Simmons. Yeah, the TV thing I brought up a number of times. But not normally are we on the same page with a lot of things. We're on the same page, definitely, with that. Regarding the WNBA, you have to find a different layer of leadership, more comparable leadership. Before this thing, and a lot of people believe this thing is out of control and a foregone conclusion anyway. But you can't continue down this path. It is every single day. And believe me, you've got somebody yapping at you right now that loves basketball and only wants to talk about the basketball. But we're always thrust into just a complete level of jackassery. It drives you nuts. And then we're going to go into a realm right now, too, where you're going to be out of sight, out of mind. When football takes over, yeah, good luck. I don't care how robust the globe is with Caitlin Clark fans. It'll all go away. Poof, gone. Take advantage of it when you can. And the same can be said for Stephanie White. You got to take advantage of it when you can. That's an easy call as a leader of a team. Reckless around the neck. You don't have to say, well, look what she did purposely and all because of what's being said. And none of, you can just say that is the stuff you have to eliminate. That's like the fist of the throat of Caitlin Clark. And that's how you further galvanize your group. But instead, I don't know about the inner workings of the locker room, but I mean, hell, if you're a player on that, you don't want to hear that. And then you're constantly trying to tell them to do stuff that they don't look capable of doing, playing defense often. And you're trying to compel them to play defense, and then you're going out there, hey, we got to play defense. And they're going to go, oh, all right, so great. It's got to be about that's all you really have left at this point. It's got to be about you guys, your team. In that huddle, and that wasn't on Saturday. And I have been a defender. Like, and I love Jennifer right here, too. I will always love Jennifer, but we're going to disagree on the coaching angle about, the defense, and there's no defense of the way that she's coaching. When they lose, her coaching is far less egregious than their execution on the floor. That's their fault. That's the players' fault. The players can own some stuff. It'd be nice if players would own some stuff. And I know in the moment you may not want to. And, the Carrington girl goes into I'm mad. You own some stuff. Yeah, that was me in a big-time jackass moment. Look how stupid I look. And then the WNBA needs to probably set her down. Be nice if the players would own some stuff. See, because the players own some stuff, and I think Caitlin Clark does a good job of that, too. The Caitlin Clark doesn't leave. Her coach could be on the hook for the reason why they don't get better defensively or they turn it over too much or, why do you leave teams hanging around that are, far less talented than you? And you get, the coaching. But instead, Caitlin Clark always takes ownership because she is about the ball that's taking place on the floor. That was an easy call for a coach to say, yeah, that's egregious, that's reckless, and absolutely can never happen. That's all you have to say. Defend your players. I would say that even if you don't like them, defend them. And I don't know, but even if you don't like them, defend them. Are you in that huddle together? Defend them. On the floor actions, we still, to this day, right? And I'm not alone in this, cat. We'll still to this day. There was no more egregious act that submarined a championship season than Meta World Peace. Ron Artest here. And look how we act toward him. There's nobody that more submarined the last however many years when he retired 2 weeks before the start of the season than Andrew Luck. And this is not me, but look how most people treat him. And we're not even talking about people in the locker room or people in the huddle. Your coach has to go to bat, has to stay strong with the players. I'm not even going to say you missed an opportunity. It wasn't an opportunity. That was easy. It was easy. Forearm around the neck, reckless behavior. You have to do that. That, to me, again, is far more egregious than, well, she can't get her team to play defense. Well, her team basically goes one step left and one step right defensively, and that's about it. So I don't know if maybe she can get out there and push them, but other than that, probably not. But she certainly could have helped her team herself with that and didn't. This date back in 1984, significant for what? Well, for one, it being an awesome summer. The U.S. men's basketball team won gold in the Summer Olympics. Does Mo ever talk that up? The legend of that 1984 U.S. Olympic basketball team?
I'm sure he's touched on it.
Big Mo, by the way, is Caleb's dad. And I met Big Mo and Betsy over the weekend. I love your parents. I love your parents.
Good people. That was
even they didn't come over to the barbecue yesterday.
Well, that was Jordan's. He was in those Olympics, correct?
Yes. Most significant thing about the team photograph, besides the fact that you have Bob Knight, the late great Hall of Fame coach. There's Tim Gall right there, the IU trainer. There's Steve Alford from Newcastle. He's right there in the picture, bottom left. Most significant thing that I've always wondered what happened and why they didn't send a different picture out. You ever notice? I think it was Alvin Robertson in the bottom row. It looks like he's side-eyeing Jordan. Like Jordan's in the middle, and I think that's Alvin Robertson next to him. And I think it's Alvin Robertson that is looking. They probably should have gone with a different print.
Yeah.
Right there. It's like it was taken in the 60s, and you had like one opportunity to get it, and if you screwed it up, like Leave It to Beaver or something, then it was going to be forever.
Yeah.
But look, they've always left that picture in there of him looking to his right, and it looks like he's side-eyeing Michael Jordan. You see that?
I do.
That's always been weird to me. I've never been able to get past that. Love watching that team, though. That was fun. I look back on it, too, just in general terms. The summer of 1984 was fun for me. Good times. So, yeah, Anthony Richardson. And everybody that, wants some hits is going to explain what he did. It just, like I said, the only people that truly ever felt this was what clearly it wasn't would be, I think, those of the Caleb Generation Z. And most will point to subbing himself out. Back in, what season was that? When did he sub him? 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yep.
See, I don't even look at it as that. I just think when your accuracy is that you can just kind of tell.
But do you think, John, that and I know this has been talked about at length on this station, but don't you think that is such a microcosm of you took this guy that was inexperienced and then he was so naive in that moment that he didn't know it was not okay to not only just tap out, but then afterwards admit it. To me, it's such an embodiment of the whole experience.
I think the biggest role in all this is, and I know a lot of people also get bent out of shape at this, and this is why when people ask, is Andrew Luck going to go in the Ring of Honor? I would suggest certainly not until they win something of significance, because that started all of this. Well, he had every right to do it. Yeah, he had every right to do it. But Peyton Manning has said this before. If you're in it in the spring of that year, you're sure as hell in it unless you're injured and compromised in the August of that year. If you're the most important position played on the team in sports. And that started all of it. That's why when people ask about the Ring of Honor, I can't imagine, because you're going to get halfway booed. And I know a lot of stances have softened, but just know this to be true. I mean, if you don't believe what I've said by now about all this, then you're never gonna. But just take my word for it, it would not be great. This would not be the all great come together that some people would like to suggest it to be. Just continue to do what you do. And then one of these days when you win something of significance, and maybe your generation is a lot older and old asses like me are no longer with it or capable of understanding what the hell is going on in general, then do it, right? But right now, it would not be good. Zero goodness out of it. Dudas, top of the hour, right? Man, Brendan Dudas, one of the great dudes out there. He is the Southport baseball coach, and he was a member of the championship New York Green Apples, correct? These guys actually signed contracts and stuff, too. Pretty cool. Dudas, top of the hour. Stephen Holder coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Got a lot more for you, too. And more about the fever, by the way, back on it. Her being Caitlin Clark, technical rescinded. So it is all, and it should have been, too. That was the two easiest calls to make over the course of that game, was afterwards making sure that tee didn't count. And then, obviously, during the game, tossing the player with the clothesline. Can't clothesline people in basketball, jackasses. Come on. It has nothing to do with anything privilege. It has everything to do with you being a reckless jackass. I don't think that's a privilege. Although I will say this, sometimes you look around this world, there are a lot of them out there, reckless jackassery. It appears to be there's some sort of privilege because it is all too familiar, all too common. It's wondering. 317-239-1070. You can do the phones. You can do the text stream. I'm flexible. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. So maybe you're not in the situation right now where you need any realty help, but at some point you will. And if you do now, let's go with the absolute best. It's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's markdietel.com, RDIETEL.com today. Why? Because I was just talking about this a little bit earlier. Versatility. The versatility is there no matter what you need in your situation. You're selling. You want to get the most out of it. Maybe there's a little pressure, tax pressure being put on. empty nesting it, growing the family. All those are considerable reasons to use the best in realty. Mark Dietel Realty. In fact, Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert I trust and recommend with the sale of my home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. It's Mark Dietel Realty. Even if you don't need the number right now, let's write this bad boy down. Make sure it's handy. Mark Dietel Realty. 317-755-4232. MarkDietel.com. MarkDietel.com today.
The Ride with JMV.
I don't understand a word you just said.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Purdue University. I still don't know how you got this Texas kid up to West Lafayette, Indiana, but it was certainly one of the best decisions I ever made. Sorry, Boom. I chose Purdue because of its academic reputation and the opportunity to play in the Big Ten Conference. Little did I know I would leave 4 years later with one of the most respected degrees in the country, a Big Ten championship, the love of my life, and an opportunity to live out my childhood dream, being a professional athlete.
Did he also pee in the boiler room at the Skull House while in West Lafayette? Anybody ever do that? Ever go to the Skull House for a party in West Lafayette? By the way, that's Drew Brees. You ever go to the Skull House for a party in West Lafayette? Who out there peed in the boiler room? I peed in the boiler room a number of times.
That should have made the speech, John.
I
if
know,
you were
right? He should have mentioned that. Love of my life and peed in the boiler room while in West Lafayette. Drew Brees right there. Cool as hell. NBA schedule later on this week. Made official.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that.
Pacers, Knicks on Christmas Day.
Come on.
We're going to see was it Austin Kraft? No, Dad Bod Sports.
Yeah.
We're going to see if Dad Bod Sports was accurate. Who agrees with the Pacers and the Knicks opening up Christmas Day NBA activity in Madison Square Garden? Will that happen? Will Dad Bod Sports be backed
Wasn't
up?
there another one? There was another guy. We were... Dang it.
That was Rooster.
Rooster,
yeah. Rooster and Dad Bod. I think Rooster got this from Dad Bod Sports, though. There is no other authority necessary after Dad Bod Sports. So what's the day when the schedule is official?
They haven't really said. What I think they're going to do with this, John, is they're going to trickle out the national TV games, the Christmas Day games, maybe some Martin Luther King Day games in there, like all that throughout the week. And then maybe by the end of the week, the full schedule gets released. That's how I'd imagine it going.
Dad Bod Sports. So who's with me on this? Pacers Knicks to start things off on Christmas Day. Do we have any poll? We got to. I tell you what, we'll do. I'll do a text line poll. 317-239-1070. Yes or no on the Pacers and the Knicks Christmas Day to lead. We have to have it accurate for Dad Bod Sports. Our guy Dudas is going to join us on the other side. I'm excited. Southport baseball coach, and he is one of the wiffle blanks. And a friend of this show and a friend of ours, Brendan Dudas, Stephen Holder, you and I, for the next 2 hours. My advice, don't go anywhere. This blank only gets better. 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Hey, John here for Love Heating and Air, a Heil dealer, 317-353-2141. I'm telling you, hot and humid is the word right now. How's your system working? Have you noticed maybe something going on here that needs to be checked? Yeah, check it to make sure you are running at optimum conditions because you don't want to be compromised cool and comfort-wise in your home. And Johnny Chris Love to the rescue for you. Love Heating and Air, Ohio dealer, 317-353-2141. When they check it up, if they find out you have an issue, they are going to come in and fix it. And you're going to say, I heard it on JMV, and they're going to give you $144 off the service fee because you heard it on JMV. Like me, loathe me, does not matter. Just make sure you mention my name, and I'm going to give you $144 off with Love Heating and Air. Any repair, a Heil dealer today. 317-353-2141 online, love-hvac.com.
The Ride with JMV.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Carson Rose, co-founder of the Atlas water bottle brand with his friend Reed Umar, puts ball in play to Boulder, bro. One hop scoop from side. And the Green Apples are on top of the wiffle ball world. Wow, Green Apples, your big league wiffle ball champions. Will Smithy.
Oh, that's awesome. The Green Apples, a win on the Ocho, the call from last Friday. And you know the greatness of something when it is the lead in to the donk tossing. The donk tossing, I don't know if anybody watched donk tossing last week, but it was outstanding. So Brendan, I always want to call him Dudas, so it's going to be tough for me to call him by his first name. Brendan Dudas, who was a part of the Green Apples, joins us in a second. Hey, quickly, Keith Moreland, the former major leaguer, is doing the Southwest Regional Championship game with Louisiana and West Texas. I was a big fan of Keith Moreland. And I know this speaks to a lot of Cubs fans, which obviously I am not. Certainly the Cubs and the Phillies most noted, but I like Keith Moreland back in the day. Doing this Southwest Region Championship Little League World Series tilt between Louisiana and Texas West right now. Dude, is ready? On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I'm going to have to apologize beforehand. There is zero way I'm going to be able to reference him by his first name because I just call him Dudas. Brendan Dudas, who is the baseball coach at Southport High School, is a part of the New York Green Apples and the Big League Wiffle Ball World Series champions. And he's a friend of ours, kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Dudas, what's up with you?
What's up, John? How are you, man?
Are you back from wherever you flew to over the weekend and screwed us over and didn't open up, even though we had to find someplace else to open up?
Dude, listen, the last 3 or 4 days have been an absolute whirlwind. You know, back from Orlando, then immediately on the road to Michigan for a wedding, and then so Sunday morning I'm in Michigan and driving back from there. But I'm finally back home.
The wedding. Oh, you got dragged to a wedding. Now, was it your friend or your wife's friend?
It was my cousin, so technically I
okay.
was the one doing the dragging.
All right. So she probably didn't want to go in this case, right? And you made her go, correct?
It was a it was a family member that we needed to catch up with, and it was a great time.
Okay. Switzerland is Brendan Dudas right here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, tell folks about this because we were privy to it watching it on Friday. You guys, the Green Apples, get the championship win. This is Big League Wiffle Ball, and around here there are some notables, and it really all began in your backyard there off of Epler on the south side, didn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I went to the University of Indianapolis and played baseball there. And I had started this league in my dorm room as a freshman there, but had been playing competitive wiffle ball for a while before that, and got some of my teammates to come out for a tournament one day, and they all got hooked. And from there, this thing really took off. So this is Circle City Wiffle, which is a local league, like you mentioned, here on the South Side. And from there, like I said, we really rose to prominence and have since won like 3 national championships with that league. And we travel all around the country playing with Circle City Wiffle, which kind of led in to us being invited to be one of the inaugural teams for Big League Wiffle, the first professional wiffle ball league of its kind, so ever.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I want to get back to the roots because you have an incredibly unique field, a wiffle ball field. And really, it's every dude's growing up dream. And really, when you get older, it's your dream too, to have your very own wiffle ball field in your backyard. And that's exactly what you put together. It's called the Dirt Yard.
Yeah, and that's really what we made our name on. I mean, before we were actually good at wiffle ball, I would call one of the world's best wiffle ball fields, especially considering it's in a backyard, which is where wiffle ball is meant to be played. It's all thanks to Mike Speak and Amerifence. He joined the league back in 2018 and was like, "Dudas, I really want to take this to the next level." And I was like, "What do you mean by that, Mike?" And he sent me the drawing of this stadium built out of cedar with lights and party decks and all this stuff, and brought it to life. And so the Dirt Yard has, taken on a life of its own, and I think even exists on a stage by itself, separate from Circle City Wiffle and being its own famous entity. So really blessed and grateful to have that. And honestly, for amazing parents who let that party go down in the backyard every single week of the summer.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Brendan Dudas, also the baseball coach at Southport and educator at Southport High School, is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline with us. How many years did it take to get, obviously started at the Dirt Yard in Circle City and then to see, this transpire with Big League Wiffle Ball? How many years was that?
Well, we started the league. It's been over a decade now. Freshman year in my dorm, traveled to our first national tournament back in 2016 and got throttled like 30-0 in our first game. And I was like, dude, what am I getting myself into? And from there, it was just sort of kind of building on that and adding players and getting, competitive guys out to the field to give it a shot. And, once those UIndy guys jumped on board, Will Smithy, Dylan Jones, Reed Werner, Mike Whitty, we really took off as a league. And since, 2020, 2021, we have been, I would say, one of the best leagues in the entire country, which, gave us the notoriety that allowed them to invite us out to be part of this Big League Wiffle venture.
That's awesome. And I know that there have been stories written before from the Star. I know Doyle came down and did a story on you guys. I know Derek Schultz has been down. I think he did something live with Greg's network as well once upon a time. So you've certainly had the notoriety, but did you ever think that it was going to take you? I thought it was cool as hell watching you and guys from around here play on ESPN2. They called it the Ocho on Friday, but it was ESPN2 the entire day. That was awesome to watch you guys do that, and fun as hell.
Dude, surreal is what I keep saying, what I keep telling people, like looking around and signing autographs and seeing that people are showing up to watch us. Like you said, it's a childhood dream. And I always growing up, I practiced my signature and all this, kind of thinking one day I'd be a Major League Baseball player. And it's just funny where life takes you. And it turns out I'm signing a bunch of autographs on plastic wiffle balls instead of leather baseballs. But it has just been surreal. It's like a dream, kind of still waiting to wake up from. But I'm just enjoying it while it lasts. Well,
we say this all the time. You're one of the best dudes around. And even though there are times when I reference it as wiffle blanking and things like that, it's always with love and only in jest, because I know how much hard work you put into it. And to see all this come to fruition and really evolve into what it is, it has to be surreal for you in that respect, too. And you know what? You get to do something, and rarely is that the case, where you can have a hell of a lot of fun while you're doing it. Makes it worthwhile.
My goodness. Yeah. A lot of times you throw around the phrase professional, and that can tend to, ruin an experience, ruin a hobby or whatever once you start getting paid to do it. I think what makes the Green Apples special, our group, which is we've all have a storied background together, being part of one organization, but we have a ton of fun, and we interact with the fans, and we dance, and we do stupid stuff out there on the field, and really just got to continue to remember the roots of this, which is it's a child's game, and we're out here getting paid to play it, and we got to remember to have fun and enjoy the moment.
So those out there that aren't privy, you guys use the old school wiffle balls. Now, when we played wiffle ball, we modified a lot of things, from the fields to the bats to the strike zones. We put kegs out on second base and things. We all did that, certainly growing up. But what are the rules to Big League Wiffle that you won a world championship last week as a part of?
Yeah, so I think what made the Circle City Wiffle guys so dangerous is that Big League Wiffle and Circle City both use the skinny yellow bat, so the wiffle ball bat that everybody's used to. Now, where Big League Wiffle differs is that they allow altering of the wiffle ball. And so what guys will do is take like a steak knife, a really sharp knife, and carve lines on the hold side of the ball, which cause it, whenever you see a video of the ball breaking like crazy, typically that's an altered wiffle ball. And so 42 feet pitching distance, 75 mile per hour cap, but 75 from 42, it's getting on you. It feels like 100, right?
Right.
And not to mention it's breaking as much
Well, I
as
mean,
it does.
it's like a cartoon. It's like a corkscrew coming at you, man. Good luck.
Sound effects and all, yeah. You got to kind of guess and hope you guess right, and it's difficult. But the similarities between Big League Wiffle and Circle City Wiffle is sort of what allowed us to be so successful. The fielding aspect, which I kind of have made my name on, and then the base running aspect lend a hand for there to be, some strategy, some IQ in play, and then some athleticism as well. And I know our group is old. We're the dads of the league, but we are still a very athletic bunch that pride ourselves on that facet of the game.
That is, it's awesome too. When I was watching, there's a lot of it I didn't understand until I watched it. But I was joking to you before it started. I said, let's go do this, make some contact. And I was being serious because it's difficult as hell to make contact doing that.
If you noticed, I was only playing defense in the championship because I think I had an 8 at-bat streak of strikeouts leading into that game.
I'm not going to mention you got DH for or something. I'm not mentioning that on this show, buddy. Come on.
So I had to turn the focus to making some highlight reel plays, and I'm glad the final ball came to me and I got to show off a little bit there. Hopefully results in a BLW Gold Glove Award. But man, the other guy stepped up, especially Will Smithy, who is being called, probably the best wiffle ball player on the planet now. And he's a Center Grove graduate.
Is he? Oh, he went to CG. I knew he was from Greenwood. I did not know he went to Center Grove. Is he up on the Hall of Fame wall that I walk through all the time?
I believe so. I want to say he was all state in baseball. He'll know, and I'm sure he's going to get mad at me. Once
we'll put one of these days. Just give us a picture. We're going to put Brandon Ray's photo up there too. We'll just put his up there at some point. We're just going to walk through and just put it up there. So
the Green Apples have a couple indie guys. So Will is from Center Grove, and then Reed Warner graduated from Greenwood High School.
Okay,
and then the Naturals, which is owned by Kevin Costner, is the team that Mike Whitty plays on, and Whitty graduated from LN up on the north side.
Now, is that the Mike that plays hoop with us?
That's him.
That's him.
Unbelievable wiffle player. Yep.
So Mike that plays basketball with us at Southport. I don't think Caleb's played with Mike before, has he? Because Mike's one of those that may end up getting taken off the list because we never see his ass.
Yeah, we don't see him. But let me tell you about Mike, man. This league nerfed him a little bit. 75-mile-per-hour pitch limit was no good for Mike, but Mike can throw a wiffle ball 106 miles per hour on the radar.
He can,
which makes him one of the most special pitchers in the entire world. He's awesome.
So he plays for a team owned by actor Kevin Costner, correct?
By Kevin Costner, yeah.
Huh.
And so that's kind of the cool thing about Big League Wiffle is there's some really big time owners. Like the Green Apples are owned by Gary Vaynerchuk. The Atlanta Ballers are owned by Julio Jones and Nelly, which is pretty cool. Dude Perfect owns the Dallas Pandas. It's just a whole list of really cool people, and they show up to games. They come and they sit in the owner's suite, and it's pretty awesome.
That's great. It's Brendan Dudas of Southport High School. He is the baseball coach and the educator, and a friend of ours. He's a member of the New York Green Apples, Big League Wiffle, the world champions as of last week. And Dudas is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Well, tell the folks out there, this is a deal where you actually sign contracts and get paid too.
Yeah. So I'm on one of the middle tiers. I make, I signed a 2-year deal. I make about a coaching stipend per year, which is pretty cool. And there's some guys that make a little more than me, Will Smithy included, and then, everywhere in between. So everybody in the league is on 1 to 3 year deals, which is, really cool to be able to say about wiffle ball. And then once that deal expires, you become a free agent. You're subject to trading, being traded at any point during your contract. And, these owners are really taking it seriously, which I think speaks to sort of the rise of alt sports like pickleball, darts, cornhole. Wiffle ball is trying to carve out its kind of segment in that market.
So Brendan Dudas is with us. You mentioned there are 2 other dudes. Reed Warner is one from Greenwood. I think, does he work at Lilly? Did I see that accurately that was on the screen? Is that where he works?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I took a guess that he went to Roncalli, but he went to Greenwood High School.
Yeah, he's a Greenwood guy.
Okay.
We all went to UIndy together.
I thought anybody with the last name of Warner ended up going to Roncalli in high school, but I guess I'm wrong.
Warner's the guy. If you've seen his picture, he looks exactly like Adam Driver, Kylo
Ren.
Yeah. Really hard to miss.
Yeah.
I think he gets that comparison all the time.
Now, how'd you guys all? Because you got a couple that are from St. Louis. The one that looks like Blake Mennel is from Minnesota, and I mean, you guys are kind of all over the map there a little bit. How'd you guys? They just all pick you from a pool of players. Is that how that happens?
So now that's where the background comes into play. So we're all part of and care deeply about this National Wiffle League Association, which is clean ball, yellow bat, and it's actually where we're heading this coming weekend in St. Louis to play that tournament. And the premise behind this is that, you take an all-star team from your league and you go to this tournament and compete to call yourself the national champion. We've won this tournament 3 times. The 2 Skibbies, the brothers, are longtime yellow bat players, and then the lefty Tyler Flackney is another one that's played yellow bat forever. So when we put this team together and they announced the rules, yellow bat, base running, fielding, the Green Apples shot up the power rankings as a team that had a ton of experience playing this style, and we really felt like our chances of winning the title were strong, and went out there and put our money where our mouth was. So
who's the governing body of this, and do they encourage kind of outrageous fun behavior?
There's probably really no governing body.
Okay, cool.
Honestly. I mean,
that's
great.
great.
That's run by the players. Yeah, I think that's what's unique about wiffle ball is like from league to league, the rules are so different and the styles are so different. And that's why we try to get out there and play as many different styles as possible, from unlimited pitch speed to lob ball and everywhere in between. So I do think like the teams that are able to go out and have fun and not take themselves so seriously end up lasting longer and having more success because of it. Because otherwise you're going to burn out and lose your cool over it.
Well, and then the other thing that, and that's the one thing I didn't notice, because there was a lot of jumping around and excitement, but it seemed like that both teams were all kind of cool with everything. There was no jackassery, if you will, going on there.
Absolutely. And I can't say that that's the case all the time.
Okay.
Like there are games that definitely get pretty intense. And, we handle it on the field. There's typically never umpires out there, so you have to make calls yourself, and that leads to arguments. And it's the same thing as open gym, right? You go back and forth with the guy.
yeah. Can you imagine if Mike Landis were out there with you guys? It'd be an argument every pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, after the game, you squash it until we play ball again. So we're all grown-ups about it.
Man, I love it though. I'm really happy for you. I am, and I want to tell folks out there that I know a lot because you went to UND, and obviously your circle is rather large, especially high school, Southport, being a baseball coach. But hell of a dude right there, man. I'm so happy for you. And the one thing I know about Dudas is you work your ass off, whether it's wiffle ball, educating, baseball coaching at Southport, or a big-ass boulder in your front yard, too. So that also made some news. Now, you're a Southsider, and I drove by to see where I probably I was stalking, but I wanted to see this big-ass boulder in your front yard that gained notoriety a couple of years ago. Did it not?
Dude, massive, yeah. So we're just over a year removed from me finding a boulder in the side of my yard and digging it up, and eventually involving a crane that came out and pulled this boulder out in epic fashion. And it turned into this entire boulder saga. And now if you're on social media, there's 4 or 5 guys also digging boulders out of their yards. But we're talking like 100 million views total across a couple different videos, and kind of launched me into this like unintentional content creator influencer lifestyle.
Yeah.
That, I was like, well, shoot, I got 300,000 followers across the 4 social media pages. I guess I got to start making videos. And, that's what I've done. And sort of the premise behind my online personality is just work your ass off, right? Work as hard as you can.
You do.
Grind. And if you can't figure something out, if you don't know how to do it, then go figure it out, try it, fail, and try again. So I think, and then I had Oliver. We had Oliver 2.5 years ago, my son. And really, it all just comes down to just I'm hoping my boys, my students, my players all see, what a grinder I am. And they see that how much you can accomplish and what good things come your way if you just refuse to quit. And so that's kind of my story.
I tell people this all the time, and then I think they kind of look at me as a jackass and disregard anything I say most of the time, Dudas. But I say this is the type of leader that you want in education and in sports in Indiana. for youth sports and education. You're it. You're like, people all the time kind of cuss about the younger generation, but you're exactly what all of us old schoolers talk about, what we went through and what is necessary today. You are perfect for that mold too. And I try to tell everybody that may not know you, because a lot of people do know you, but I try to tell everybody that because your role and what you do is perfect as an educator and a coach and just a good overall dude. That's what people are looking for.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm like getting to that crossroads in my career, trying to figure out exactly where to take that role and where I'm best, where I'm best served and in terms of, being a leader and stuff like that. And so just still trying to figure stuff out like that. But, people like you saying things like that really means a lot to me.
Well,
so thank you.
Yeah, the motivation, it's not like you need my motivation or, the motivation of the friends around you that we see all the time to tell you this. But you show what you do. Now, I did want to ask you about the boulder. Did people think that was like the movie Encino Man? What was the big trendy thing behind the boulder in your front yard?
So it's like Encino Man came up so many times in the comment section. I was like, I've never seen this movie, and I had to look it up. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So between Encino Man, I mean, tons of conspiracy theories, dinosaur egg, UFO, you name it. Just I feel like the comment section kind of brought together like a couple corners of the internet that all sort of started arguing about it, calling me an idiot, what a waste of time and money. Telling me what to do with it, telling me how dumb I was for trying certain things. And it was just the perfect storm of a comment section in terms of, people feeling like they wanted to put their input in there. And that's what I think ultimately led to it taking off the way it did.
So is it, what kind of, is it igneous or sedimentary? I know it's not volcanic. What kind of rock is it?
So now you're.
I know. Look at me. That's like the only thing I ever learned in earth science, right there, dude.
I think insignious is like a lava rock. I don't think that's what was sitting in his yard.
I thought volcanics lava rock. Volcanics not.
There's a word for it. Brendan, go ahead. Just help us here.
And so you're on to something. It's some sort of granite.
Okay.
Right.
I said sedimentary or igneous. I thought that's like two I remember. Yeah.
But what I do know about this is being where we are, it's probably a glacial erratic, right? So the glaciers passed over this area when they, started to melt and formed lakes and stuff. And sometimes the rocks were stuck inside there and they just dropped them off. And that's really the only way to explain a 10,000-pound rock sitting in my yard here in Indiana. But yeah, it's a few different types, but I think it's a form of granite. And it's got, a bunch of different rocks kind of smashed together, and it's pretty dang cool. It's a piece of history for sure.
It is.
And it's a conversation piece.
Yeah, tremendous. I think it's about the same age as Good Hall down there at UND, isn't it?
Something like that. A couple years, give or take.
Brendan Nudis of Southport and Big League Wiffle. When do you guys back at it again with the Green Apples?
So Green Apples get back out there in October. So we're done with the regular season, which is a certain rule set. And then what picks up from October to, early spring is the off-season tournament circuit. So we travel to places like Scottsdale, Arizona, St. Louis, Dallas, and a few other cities we'll probably put on the schedule, and just sort of do like a tour. So to speak. So get a few weeks off of that, but now we're focused on Circle City Wiffle and hopefully going and winning our fourth and record-setting national title with Circle City.
So I also gather that you will be unavailable for Sunday.
You've gathered that correctly.
Dang it. Hey, I tell you what, we had 12 yesterday, and then the old guy, Landis, was trying to shut us down, being out guy at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. We still cobbled together 12. We've got some dudes that want in. We got some players that want in on the thread here. The group
we got to get them in, man.
I'm telling you.
It's a good group. It's a good group. Let's just say if you see me on Sunday, I will not be a very happy person because that means we lost a lot of games on Saturday that we shouldn't have. So if all goes well, you will not see me on Sunday.
Well, I will say this. I'm a very good motivator. I motivated Jason Wiseman to open up yesterday after Kevin Julian took out 5 gallons of fluid from his swollen knee. So if I can do that, I think I can motivate anybody to get out there.
Listen, man, when the consequence is that JMV gets on air and drags your name to the public, and then your bosses come to you and say, "Dude, why is JMV talking so much crap about you?" Then you tend to get the keys and open up the gym.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then the janitor doesn't break the backboard either when he's sweeping up.
That's exactly it.
Hey, buddy, we're proud of you. You're a great dude, great friend, and we loved watching last week the New York Green Apples. And thanks for telling the story, man. It's very interesting. I appreciate you more than you know. And maybe we see you coming up on Sunday.
I appreciate you, John. Thank you for having me on.
You got it, pal. Brendan Dudas right there, Southport High School baseball coach. He's an educator, and if you could not tell, that is Caleb can attest to this, a fantastic dude.
He's awesome, man. So blessed in my year here living in Indy to cross paths with him. He's so cool.
He is a great guy, and we got to drag around Mike Landis, too, for the better part of 20 minutes, which always makes me happy.
The group chat's loving it.
Out. Why don't you guys just cancel at 7 o'clock and you don't have enough? Yeah. Man, I wish you guys. See, here's the other thing, too. You know how many people I hear from on social media all the time that want to be a part of this, too? Sometimes you're going to have to replace. I mean, Darmelio is one thing because he's injured. I don't know about Landis, man. And I made Jason Wiseman come in. They literally drained. Kevin Julian, the orthopedic surgeon, drained about 3 gallons out of his knee the day prior. And he still came in and opened up. Well done. We got to have some ballsy dudes out there, let me tell you. All right, quick break. We'll come back. That is our good friend Brendan Dudas right there. And you could tell, fantastic dude. Southport baseball coach, educator, big boulder in his front yard on the south side. Massive influencer. I did not know he had all those followers social media-wise. And most importantly, a really good dude and friend of ours. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Stephen Holder's going to join us at the top of the hour. You guys feel like you need a weather update? We got it for you.
Today's forecast from the Fox 59 Weather Authority.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms continue overnight. Temperatures only cooling down to around 75 degrees. More scattered storms in the forecast for Tuesday. Strong winds and heavy rain possible with highs in the low 90s. I'm Fox 59 meteorologist Kendall Wilson for The Fan.
Thank you, Matt. And Connecticut Water, the home water systems to the rescue. Yeah, your water without Connecticut is just not as good as it needs to be. And I can tell you that, too, because my water, a well in Morgan County, can you imagine? And what Connecticut has done to it is incredible. Elite level water on my well in Morgan County, thanks to Joe in Connecticut. Get your water tested today to find out the type of system Connecticut can put together for you, specific to your needs where you live and your water with Connecticut. Get that free test today. Sign up with Joe and the gang to get them out for that free test. That's Connecticut.com. Hey, John here for WeGrowHairIndy.com, 317-522-2995. That's WeGrowHairIndy.com. You may be losing your hair. Hey, dudes, man, I'm telling you, you just do. That's the rite of passage for being dudes. You start losing your hair. You want to do something about it? WeGrowHairIndy.com. Get started today, and then once you reestablish your real hair growth, they have boosters that make sure you maintain that. That's 317-522-2995. My glorious lettuce speaks volumes about what it can do for you. If you want your real growing hair, 317-522-2995 or WeGrowHairIndy.com today. Hey, John here for the Low T Center, and summer can be a grind for you too, but are you feeling drained? And the AC is cranking, right? So it's not just the heat. 1 in 4 dudes out there, 35 to 50, have low testosterone and low levels of energy, sex drive, motivation, mood, and more. That is affecting everything, right? Low T drains your energy and motivation, and you just don't recognize things, and then you become somewhat recognizable with that personality too. So my advice, do something about it right now. At the Low T Center, you can book a free testosterone test and get a consultation from licensed providers who specialize in testosterone replacement therapy. Explore a range of peptides and even get that jump on the late summer bod with GLP-1s and medical weight loss protocols. Low T Center, the #1 name in TRT since 2009 for a reason. They are the best. Visit FixMyLowT.com to schedule your free testosterone test today. FixMyLowT.com.
The Ride with JMV.
You guys can stick that too. Seriously. You guys want to stick that? Stick that one where the sun don't shine.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The Green Apples and our good friend Brendan Dudas of Southport. So, you see, Weissman mentioned this in our text group. He said, Hey, Dudas, when do the Green Apples play again? AKA, when are you going to be unable to open the gym? Yeah, well, that's me. That's exactly right. So Wiseman's got to do it again on Sunday.
And if you were listening to JMV do his live read and he was laughing.
That's why I was laughing right there.
We were cracking up back here about that because that is so funny. It's so true.
I know it. Yeah, and you would think that I would want to. I played my last 5 times. I've been horrible 5 times in a row now. So I probably need a rest, but we got to go. So, and think about it, too, because of the Green Apples and that success, and that Dudas has been gone, and then I mentioned Wiseman got injured because he played at the Arc and that tournament, and then had like 3 gallons of fluid taken off his knee, but he still opened up yesterday. Good group yesterday, though, Caleb. And the one thing we know, Caleb producing the show, he's going to be everywhere I go to play. And there's no wiggle room around that. He goes. I don't even ask you anymore. I just go, yeah, we got 2 here.
You're doing the free throw thing coming up, right?
Yeah, I got to do that coming up on Saturday. So, yeah, they're having games out there at the State Fair. This is from 11 until 1. And during the halftime of these games, I have a free throw shooting contest. And my sights are bent right now, so I've got to find, speaking of groove, I've got to find a little bit of groove here.
I might pull up to that.
My sights, you should. My sights are bent. And you could tell, folks, I loved it yesterday, even though I sucked, that it was about 105 degrees in that gym.
Can you take the audience
love it.
And explain why you love a hot gym more than anybody I've ever met before?
I always feel that when you're playing something that you have to sweat profusely. And in the wintertime, most other times of the year, I've got to wear long sleeve shirts and all that crap. And I want to play someplace where you go in and you're wearing a tank top and shorts and you are sweating your ass off. I love that. And I want to get loose. I guess I'm 56 and a half. So there's no better time than right now for me to completely get loose. I just think it feels better. Plus, since our good friend Kurt carries on his watch how many calories he burns, I coincide. Yesterday it was like 1,200. Last week at St. Jude's it was like 1,300. And then I know the calorie deficit that I'm working from on a Sunday when I go to work drinking. So I know that. So I kind of set the table.
You need an Apple Watch. Actually, I'm going to retract that because I can't imagine you messing around with one of those.
All kind of stuff.
Nah.
I think I have a watch at home that will show my – maybe not. I don't know. It's a little bit older, but I thought maybe it would show the calories burned. But I don't know if I can wear a watch playing basketball. That's a little weird. That's why I let Kurt wear it. It's not weird to him, and then he can just tell me how he's. I'm assuming that I'm somewhere in the neighborhood. But no, seriously, that was fun as hell. Good conversation, Brendan Dudas, the podcast 1075thefan.com. Andy suggests that the boulder in his front yard is igneous. So I was pretty much right. That's like the one thing that I remember from earth science is sedimentary, igneous, and volcanic. There are only 3, right?
Igneous, I'm looking up the definition of igneous rock. Igneous rocks are formed through the cooling and solidification of magma or lava. So you're telling me the rock that was sitting in Brendan Dudas's yard in Southport.
Well, how is that not volcanic rock?
That's not
Volcanic's not a form of rock?
No, that's basically igneous.
Okay.
But it's cooled down into a solid form.
So it's probably not volcanic here in central Indiana.
I'm going to guess not, but maybe I'm wrong.
All right.
I think that's a safe guess. Metamorphic is the third one.
Metamorphic,
igneous,
yes.
Sedimentary,
metamorphic. That's metamorphic. Our good friend, former Major League catcher Tucker Barnhart, and I have this at home. If you remember when I got knocked down last spring and it took me forever to get up, and I feel like I play I play like I'm younger than 56. I fall down like I'm about 86. And then I get back up like I'm about 106. So when I fell down back in the spring, Tucker Barnhart sent me as a gift a Life Alert watch. With the Life Alert, I have not checked. Does that have a calorie burn off on the Life Alert? So here's the problem with that, Tucker. If it gets hit and then all of a sudden the cops come out or the ambulance or first responders come out because they think that my health is compromised, right? I don't know if you can play that wearing basketball.
Well,
the Life Alert. I got one. It's on my bed. It's right next to me at home.
So you're saying that Life Alert.
Yeah.
Because
he's saying Life Alert counts your calories burned.
Wow.
I don't know if it does or not. I'd have to check.
Because the Life Alert I remember is those commercials where it's like, call 1-800. You know, I didn't know they were making smartwatches now.
And I was going to give it to my mom, but my mom would be tapping that thing every 5 minutes. Wait a minute, I can't reach this dish. Oh, that's good. I can't do that. But, I was good because she actually fell a couple of weeks back, and then it was like 3 a.m, and somebody down in Orangeburg had to come get her up. Mm-hmm. And that scares the absolute crap out of me. This is true, and this is sincere. That scares the crap out of me. And, luckily she's got some folks down in Orangeburg that will help. I think she's run off a lot of folks that also would help, but she also has a lot of friends that would help. But if she had the Life Alert, then that thing would be going off all the time, I'm afraid, for everything. Well, I don't know. The dog jumped up here and, beep. Here comes EMTs. So I've been hesitant to give that. I thought about that before, maybe one that hangs around the neck, or I don't know.
Well, I have to at some point. I don't know if we have enough time for this because it's a long story. Probably off air, I have to tell you. But Mo, who you met this weekend, my dad, he has an Apple Watch and he struggles to work that thing. But one time he was subbing in a gym class, and they have a feature on your Apple Watch where if like you move really quickly, like it thinks you fell or like something happened, right? Which is kind of what you're talking about. And he called an ambulance on accident because he was in gym class subbing and like moved quickly and he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know why the medic showed up or anything.
See, I'm afraid. My mom would have EMTs out there, I think, every day. By the way, you and Mo have father and son mustaches.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
We do.
Yeah.
I get it from him. Yeah.
Yeah. Father and son mustaches. In case you were not privy to this earlier, I got a chance to meet Mo and Betsy for the first time on Saturday before the JMV takeover. You brought them in studio down Sewage Row down there on number 1, and I met with them before we started the JMV takeover.
And you sent us to Ialea's, which was awesome.
Ialea's. You went, but you did not ask for Dom though, correct?
I didn't,
because I bet Dom was there. Somebody tell me if you still go to Ialea's, and I know everybody does. I'm assuming Dom is still there. I told you to ask for Dom.
You did. We did.
Dom is a tremendous dude. And there are a lot of great places around. You could not go wrong with Ialea's, Iozo's, either on the south side of downtown and Meridian, or even down in Franklin. There's an Iozo's location that is great. But you went to Ialea's, where I told you the great story. The late great Rick Majerus, back when I was at the other station, was my college basketball analyst weekly, and this goes back to 2006 when Blake was born. Majerus sent me just a massive amount of clothes for Blake, just like baby clothes for Blake. And then he came to Indy, and we went to Ialea's, and I've never seen anything like it. My man, we sat in one of these lounge chairs, and he was going at it. But some of the greatest basketball stories I've ever heard in my life from Rick Majerus during that time. And if anybody knows Rick Majerus from Ball State or, Utah or Marquette or whatever, was just a glorious and incredibly missed basketball personality. Yeah, he was awesome back then. But once upon a time, Ialea's was a Rick Majerus spot. Ialea's the late Robin Miller. That's a Robin Miller spot as well. We always went there. But I mentioned you go and ask for Dom. I'm assuming on a Saturday night that Dom was probably there. So And I'm assuming if you guys can tell me if Dom is still often there. I used to see Dom when I would take the Blake to Roncalli in the mornings. I would see Dom over at the Speedway at Southport and Gray every morning getting coffee. But awesome. Irias, did you like it?
I loved it.
What'd you go with?
I went with the chicken fettuccine Alfredo.
Yep. I get the JMV Irias lasagna is the bomb.
My mom got that.
There you go. Yeah. Shout out to Dom and Irias. Awesome place over there.
Actually,
Quick
I
break.
think my dad did. Yep.
The Colts have a depth chart released. We'll talk to Stephen Holder about that. And then you get the joint workouts they're going to have coming up here with New England in New England. And then the matchup coming up on Thursday. Keep in mind, 4:30, the Colts pregame huddle starts with me and the band's back together again. And we're going to get more Rick Venturi coming up this year on the Colts pregame huddle. We'll be all about that, 4:30 until 6:30. That is on Thursday, ahead of preseason game number 1. And tomorrow, the guy that's going to be the voice of the pregames themselves, Greg Rakestraw, is going to join us, and we'll talk about that with Greg. I think it's Greg and Rick and Lara Overton doing the pregame TV stuff. Greg joins us coming up tomorrow. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Stephen Holder, top of the hour. Stay right there. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hey, John here for the District Tap. You've got 2 locations coming up tomorrow night. Post that bad boy up before the game with the Fever, and then post-game it up, too. It is awesome because you have happy hour specials. You have damn good food. You have TVs everywhere. And it is just a celebration of being out and fun. You got that downtown, a block from the field house, and then at Clearwater Crossing on the north side. That is the District Tap. Ask about the live music, the event space, and the catering. If you're throwing a gig, a party, and you need food, the catering is out of this world. My friend Michael and the District Tap. 2 Central Indiana locations. To find out more online, thedistricttab.com. Hey, John here for GLP-1 weight loss injections in Indy. That is Premier Weight Loss. 2 Indy area locations, Northside 317-643-4444 and in Fishers at 317-567-9100. Hey, let Thomas and Samantha and Lauren guide you through your very own weight loss journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be similar to anybody else's. You do this at your own pace, but if you adjust your diet and you work out and you work alongside these injections, you will find the results you're looking for with Premier Weight Loss. Again, 2 Indy area locations. Get started today. Tell them I sent you. Great deals going on right now. And if you need any cosmetic treatments, Botox, they have that for you. They have the electronic toning mechanism too, and skin tightening. All that and more at Premier Weight Loss with the 2 Indy area locations. Tell them I sent you online today. Get started on your very own weight loss journey, pwlindy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Dude, most metal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I should mention, too, coming up on Saturday, the free throw shooting competition we're having between games out at the Indiana State Fair. You can win 4 packs of tickets to the State Fair. That is on Saturday. Now, coming up tomorrow night at the Indiana State Fair on the free stage, it is Clayton Anderson, friend of the show. Clayton Anderson in concert. So if you're out there tomorrow night to see Clayton, make sure you tell Clayton we said hello. That is coming up tomorrow night. From Elvis, JMV, people that want to fire the head coach with a fever seem to forget that she got them to an OT game to get to the WNBA Finals without Clark and a bunch of scrubs pulled off the waiver wire. Most people forgot because they checked out when Caitlin got hurt. So many of their issues on the floor, it's not coaching, it's on them. Now, the off the floor after the game and after the ejection, that's on her. You have to go hard and make sure that your players understand that you're with them. It didn't act like that they understood that. And that was easy, too, because that Carrington foul was reckless. Okay, sure. She didn't want to knock her. Maybe she didn't want to knock her out, but it was reckless. The ejection was deserved. And if I'm Stephanie White right now, everything is coming at her. Everything is blaming her. The one thing you have to do is make sure that your team is wound tight and together. Caitlin Clark does a great job of making sure she owns basketball situations and she keeps things basketball-wise. Stephanie White missed the mark on Saturday. At the very least, you got to think about who the hell cares about Carrington's feelings or the feelings of anybody else, or now everybody's thinking that she doesn't like the thoughts and the outspokenness of Sophie Cunningham. It doesn't matter. She's in your inner circle, in the huddle. Back her up completely. Back your team up completely, because you're going to catch blame regardless, but you want to make sure you keep everybody together. That just missed the mark on Saturday. You can't afford it. Quick break. We'll come back. Stephen Holder, top of the hour. The Colts have a depth chart. We'll go over that. The Colts on the road in New England, joint practices, and then a preseason game coming up on Thursday from ESPN. Stephen Holder is going to join us coming up on the other side. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
A busy rest of the week. Hurst and Lamonte's with me coming up on Friday at Pivot downtown. You know we love the Pivot Balcony Bar inside Hyatt Place downtown coming up on Friday. That's before the Fever game. And is always a fantastic time. They play Dallas on Friday night. We shall be down there. I believe, did we not talk to Debbie? And then
the Fever takeover is happening Friday, John.
I'm sure they're going to love the dialogue I have right now if we do that on Friday.
Yeah.
Hopefully that changes. Yeah. They may go, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's really simple, though. That was egregious enough to be incredibly outspoken in the backing of your team and player. That's easy. You don't go into that and go, well, I don't know. They meant to do it. I mean, it was around the neck and reckless, regardless of what anybody else thinks. And listen, you're going to have everybody coming at you regardless. You don't want that with your team. You don't want any misguided feelings regarding those in your huddle. Pretty simple to me. Fever and New York coming up tomorrow night. So the technical was rescinded. Caitlin Clark sits on 7 right now. Now, Bill Simmons talking about the leadership or lack thereof, the WNBA, and there has to be something new is absolutely right. Now, I've been talking about that and the TV, this being all over the map. It's not great. More on that coming up. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, getting set, I'm assuming, to head out to New England for a couple of joint practices and then a gathering for a preseason game number 1 on Thursday. Stephen Holder joins us. Anything that you gather from the release of the official depth chart earlier today with the Colts in mind, Stephen?
Not particularly. I think there are. I guess it was an admission that this is, a backup quarterback battle. That was an acknowledgement of that. So they stayed out of the weeds on that one. There are a few veterans who are, I think, listed above some younger players where they're just kind of doing them a solid on that. I feel like, out of respect, the younger player in a lot of those instances is actually ahead. And so I think one example would be Betcher at linebacker, for example. I think he's in their top 3 linebackers right now. It did not reflect that if you look at the depth chart that they put out today, but that's not that unusual. I'm looking for it here as we're talking. That's not totally unusual, but for the first depth chart, But I think there are some things there that we know are not going to remain that way, if that makes sense. And that's an example of it.
Do you where do you point the finger, the first spot, the first position where you go, all right, this doesn't look great? Obviously, with me, we've talked about this before. It's wide receiver. But where do you look at first and say, hopefully either this is a lot better than what we gather right now, or there is some marked improvement at some point?
I think linebacker. I'll stick with that position. I think they're definitely thin there. It's kind of interesting. I asked Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator, on Saturday about that position. His answer was actually kind of honest, refreshingly honest. And he admitted that, we don't really have a whole lot of guys locked in there yet, and because they keep rotating guys in with the first team, which tells me they don't know who their starters are, right? And so I asked him about that, and he said, well, I think we're going to end up playing a lot of guys there. And he said, we may just have guys kind of do what they're best at. So I asked him, does that mean you're going to have guys sort of specialize in certain roles? So not jack of all trades, but what's the opposite of that, right? It's just guys who are just really good at certain things and rotating in and out. And so he suggested that that's what it's going to look like. And he said the way his justification was for it was, look, we don't want to overwhelm young guys. So if you can kind of give them a specific role, they maybe can lean into that and do well at that. So that does make sense. But I think like we all know that I think in a best case scenario, you'd like to have your 2 or 3 guys, and those are your guys, and you know they're going to play all the reps. That's the way you structure it. The way he's talking about it is not the way you draw it up. So that would be out of necessity rather than something that they just prefer.
So we heard the news regarding Cam Taylor-Britt going back to Friday. And, obviously this stems from a situation going back at the beginning of the year before he was signed here. How had he been performing up until that point? And in this case, missing the first game of the season, being able to do all the preseason stuff, but missing that first game, obviously, against the Ravens.
Yeah, I think that he has actually been pretty solid. They like him right now. I would say if the season started today, if the season started today, he couldn't play. But just throw that out for a minute.
Right.
If the season started today, I think Cam Taylor-Britt is their number 3 outside corner. So if something happens to Sauce Gardner, Mooney Ward, I think he'd be the first guy off the bench. That's how I envision that right now. The other corner being Justin Wally in the slot. So that's the way I see it at the moment. And they feel good about that because I think they've had a lack of depth at corner for a couple of years now, right? And you saw it last year just because the number of injuries they had, the depth really got tested. I mean, they pulled a couple guys off the couch last year. They made that trade for Mekhi Blackman, for example. He played a lot of snaps, probably way more than he should have, right? And so they have this year, you get Wally back in the fold, coming back from his injury. I know he's in the slot, but just generally speaking, that's another body. You get Cam Taylor-Britt as a great example of the kind of signing where it gives you quality depth. They did not have quality depth last year, and so I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. And then you have some younger guys who are fighting it out, and some of them will earn some playing time or earn roster spots, and then others may have to catch on elsewhere. But there's good competition back there. But Cam Taylor-Britt is the guy, I think, behind those 2 big-name veterans.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We're not talking about super notable names, certainly in free agency, but, some of those defensive guys from Key to Clemens to Tillery, guys like that. How are the veterans at those defensive positions? Anybody else you want to add in performing so far in camp from your estimation?
So Arden Key is actually kind of interesting. I had sort of meager expectations for him. Look, what we see out there, even when they have pads on, it's not necessarily the real thing, but I would say he has had a presence. I would say you've noticed him. And I do think that's promising. I think he is the guy who's probably been, outside of Latu, he's probably the guy who's been the most consistent. Latu's starting to come on, and we're starting to see him flash. He's really creating consistent pressure. I like his chances to take a step this year. I think how big of a step he can take does, I think, depend on the guys around him to a degree, right? And so that's going to depend on DeForest Buckner becoming DeForest Buckner again, right? Yesterday was a day where I started to see him flash, and that has been a long time coming. I haven't really seen a lot of that, and he's been limited. But anyway, back to those other guys, that free agent group you talked about. Clemens, I mean, Clemens has been out there with some of the first team reps. I think he's going to end up being a little bit of an edge setter, not sexy, and not a position where you're going to get a lot of numbers. But he's never had numbers in his career. I think that's kind of been his role. A guy who set that edge against the run and create some pass rush when asked. I think that's probably going to be his role. Like we just talked about with linebackers, this could be a situational position. The guy, this is not a free agent, but the guy I kind of like and I want to see more of is George Gums. the rookie defensive end from Florida. He actually has, I think, flashed pretty consistently. And I am very, very intrigued. I think in the preseason, that's a guy you better circle. Circle his name and look for him on Thursday night. He's going to play a lot, and we're going to find out if he can do it under the lights. I mean, he's been doing it against the backups, and when they put him out there with the third team, he just wrecks the whole thing. So the second team is a much better measurement for him, and he's flashed there too. So will he get some first team reps? I don't know about that, but I think he's fighting to show that he deserves some playing time, and he's going to have opportunities to prove that.
Stephen, the offensive line, certainly the starters we note and we know, but what about what is always necessary really with any team, but certainly magnified with this team? What about the depth of the offensive line?
Yeah, it always gets tested, right? I mean, I remember that year, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, where all 5 guys played all 17 games. I mean, that's a 1 in a million, right? That just doesn't happen. So I think the question is, so they have some decent depth. I mean, they have the rookie Jalen Farmer is gonna be a guy who can rotate at guard. Dalton Tucker can certainly give him a hand there. Tackle, and I'm looking at it here just to make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Tackle, I feel less secure about. I guess it's Blake Freeland out of necessity because they don't really have an obvious answer for that swing tackle. Luke Tenuta is another guy who has played for them, and I would say wasn't terrible. So I think tackle, if they have an injury there, a little more nervous, I would say, than in the interior. Center, a few questions at center. Dalton Tucker has been the backup center and snapping there, but there have been some mishaps in practice, and not all of that has been Anthony Richardson's fault. I mean, some of that is on Tucker too. So I think they don't really have a dedicated backup center. You know, for a long time, Danny Pinter was kind of that guy who you knew, like, center was his strength, and he basically was a backup center, but he has moved on, and so they're trying to piece that one together. So they kind of got their fingers crossed, I think, at center, to be completely honest with you.
It's Stephen Holder of ESPN on ESPN.com. Joint gatherings, and then obviously the preseason game number 1 coming up on Thursday. 4:30 is when we get started with the Colts pregame huddle coming up on Thursday right here in studio on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. So I didn't go too in-depth with this because we basically know what we know regarding Anthony Richardson, but has this been a really bad start to training camp for him? Just in general terms of how he is playing, and not even expectations or any of that, but just in general watching him, has it gotten worse?
I think my biggest issue has been just the inconsistency. You still see the big throw once in a while, right? The flash. He's always had that, and he's always going to be capable of that. But on a play-to-play basis, which is what you need from your backup. You don't need flash as much as you just need completions, I think, with your backup quarterback. And he's got to – I talked to somebody today, and the feedback was just this, like, just get completions and stop, don't play hero ball, right? I think last year he's trying to win the starting job. And so you're out there, you're trying to make plays, you're trying to, go give Alec Pierce an opportunity to make a big play. Well, you're not going to be able to do that, frankly, with the guys he's playing with on that second and third team. I mean, they're not going to go make, a Randy Moss play for you. Those guys just, that's not who he's playing with, especially with the receiver depth that they have right now. So he's just got to not force stuff and just take the check down, make the easy throw, go to that first read. I mean, there are times when he's still holding the ball, trying to go for the big play. And I don't think that's what's going to get him this job. I think if he wants to have that number 2, he's just got to throw it to the guy who's open. And if it's the first read, throw it to that guy. Making the big play is not what they're looking for. So I do think that we saw him start to settle in on Sunday. And I liked what he did in the 2-minute drive, the 2-minute drill. Really drove the ball down and had a big completion position him for a touchdown. That's what you want to see. And he has been clutch in those situations in the past, but he's just got to be more consistent. There's not to say Riley Leonard's been great, but on a play-to-play basis, a little more consistent than Anthony for sure.
It's Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com. He is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The first official for training camp depth chart has been released. And Jonathan Taylor got the extension, which I think we were relatively sure was going to happen, considering his attitude and personality during this camp prior to that deal. We know about him, and he's going to have to shoulder some significant load once again, which we understand. But what about after him? Your thoughts on the backup plan and anything of significance you gather from the first start of camp here?
The guy that I most want to see in preseason is Seth McGowan, the rookie out of Kentucky. This kid is very interesting. He is off to a fantastic start, and the coaches, they I think are starting to buy in on this. DJ Giddens, I never saw it last year. He just never really got any momentum. No consistent playing time. Obviously, no one gets consistent playing time behind Jonathan Taylor, right? So I'm not breaking any news there. But I thought there were moments where they could have given him Giddens. They could have given him a series here, a series there, or maybe let him finish off a game. And they very rarely did do that. So I think that said something about how they feel about him, or in terms of their level of trust with him, whatever it might be. And McGowan, what I love is just he is a north to south runner, north and south. Okay, one cut and he's gone. I don't know that he's the fastest guy, but that's not what he brings to the table. He is a determined runner, and the Patriots, they're going to have to tackle this kid in this preseason game because he is a powerful runner. And the other thing that he does is he contributes in the passing game. He's been a really shorthanded receiver when they've checked it down to him or thrown the screens, which they've done. So I think that he's done everything you could have expected, I would say, from a backup running back, and has earned, so far at least, I think he's earned some playing time if there is snaps to have or to be had behind Jonathan Taylor.
All right, help the fans out there kind of eyeball on Thursday for the first time what you have witnessed in Westfield so far. Some other things we haven't discussed that you're looking forward to on Thursday for preseason game one, without the fact that it's going to be over and then you're going to be off to preseason game number two. What about preseason game one?
Yeah, I think you're just looking for some of those young guys to pop a little bit. There's opportunity at wide receiver. Do those guys? Which of those guys actually play in this game? I imagine we'll see. The likes of Westbrook-Akine. Laquan Treadwell's hurt right now. I don't know that he will be back. You won't see Josh Downs, even if he does practice tomorrow. Like, give me a break, right? So anyway, my point is there's just a lot of receivers that flash here, a play there. What I am not seeing is consistency. Westbrook-Akine, I think, has come on, and I'm starting to see him make some plays on a more consistent basis. And I think, he's a veteran player, so I'm not surprised by that. Ashton Doolin always makes plays. Can he do it consistently? We'll see. So I think receiver is a position to watch. I mentioned McGowan. I really think you're going to love watching McGowan. I really believe that. And then you already mentioned this, but that backup offensive line, like who settles in there and who really starts to show that they are going to take ownership of those spots and be out in front, be a front runner for that roster spot, those roster spots.
Is there going to be an addition wide receiver wise at some point? We've often talked about Keenan Allen, but it does seem like that the position is outside of his name dwindling. And the reason why we don't come up with any other names is because it doesn't seem like that there are any other names that are useful on that particular list. So, I mean, would you think that they plan on going with what they have? Could we all be wrong about this?
Well, I'm starting to think we are. I will tell you the God's honest truth, because it doesn't matter now. I fully expected that Keenan Allen would have been here. I don't know, maybe a week ago, certainly by now. I fully expected him to be signed by the Colts. It's too obvious, right? They were talking, him and Shane Steichen are close. He knows the offense. So if you bring a guy in late, wouldn't you want the guy who knows the offense, right? They did not get off to a great start at wide receiver in camp. So, I mean, what more evidence do you need, right? This was going to happen. I fully expected it was going to happen. The fact that it has not happened already has me really wondering if maybe they're not going to do it. And I trace that. This is me talking, okay? Not a source, but I trace that back to Chris Ballard. I think when we talked to him to start training camp, you heard he said that he wanted to kind of take a look at these guys and see what they had at that position. And that is the position he always takes when he is reluctant to make a roster move, right? Whether it's the offensive line a few years ago when we were clamoring for them to make a move there, the secondary, I think the last couple of years when they entered the season and we said, you're a little thin, it's going to be a problem. Lo and behold, we were psychic, right? So
yeah,
very, very reminiscent of situations that we've had in recent years. I'm very surprised we're still here.
It's amazing how often we and the fans have been accurate about things that the general manager has been inaccurate about, Stephen. Seriously.
Well, I have another thought about it. I'll take that a step further.
Yeah.
I would go back to the draft. So I thought they had a nice draft, but free agency decisions directly affect your draft, right? What did they do in free agency? They locked up their own, largely. Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones. They did have some defensive signings. Cam Taylor-Britt, you mentioned him. 2 defensive ends, Arden Key, Michael Clemens, et cetera. So they did some work there, no question. But I think the thing we thought they might opt for in free agency and did not was a wide receiver. And not doing that, I think, put them in a spot where, okay, they had to make a choice in the draft. Do we finish off this defense and get the rest of what we need? Because you needed a starting linebacker. You needed a safety. You needed linebackers and all that, right? So they had some tough calls to make because they had left a lot on their plate for the draft. And the receiver got overlooked. Not like they forgot about it, but I mean, they made a conscious decision not to do it because they had other priorities. And that leads us to where we are right now. I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but I'm just saying choices have consequences, right? And so those decisions in previous months, that is what has led us to where we are right now. This didn't just happen overnight. This has been months in the making.
We are on the way for week number 1 to see a heavy dose, are we not, in this case, of Laquan Treadwell and of Westbrook Akine, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Look, Alec Pierce, if Alec Pierce, he's not coming back this week for all intents and purposes, right? I mean, they got one practice and then they got the preseason game. So you're talking about they're back on the practice field Saturday. That is the earliest, unless I'm missing something, that would be the earliest you could see Alec Pierce. And I'm not even here to suggest that's going to happen. But let's say absolute best case scenario, he gets back out there when they get back to Indianapolis on Saturday, and he's out there. Now, what is that? I mean, you're talking about you're less than a month out. He's not in shape, not in football shape. But it's no like knock on him, but he has a lower body injury, right? And he's been hurt for like 4 months. Okay, the guy's not going to roll out of bed and go run past Sauce Gardner on the first day of practice, right? So he has a lot of work to do when he gets back. So what version of Alec Pierce are we getting? Is my point, right? So you couple that with what is remaining of that unit, and no, I don't think this is a good recipe with a quarterback who is out here trying to prove that last year wasn't a flash in the pan, is coming off an Achilles injury, right? Shouldn't you position him to do the very best he can do? I don't think they've done that. So maybe they will prove me wrong, and we will see.
So are they approaching this cautiously when he's much more on schedule than a lot of us believe, because we're well equipped now to just not really believe too much as positive surrounding the Colts and decision-making in general. So do you believe Pierce's situation to be better than what we all may believe it ourselves to be right now?
I mean, I would say, yes, they should be careful, okay? They should be prudent. So I will never knock a team for being prudent with a star player. Not in August, okay? You know what I mean? Like, you don't go push him out there if he's not ready. However, that being said, they were projecting early in camp. I mean, is it early in camp still? I don't know. So I would say at best we have missed the rosier projections. They've missed that already. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's like the end of the world, but I mean, it's not best case scenario right now with Alec Pierce. It's not that. I don't know if it's worst case scenario, but it's not best case. So, you know, are we overanalyzing it? Maybe a little bit. He'll be back when he's back, but all I can tell you is each day that goes by, I would say that the level of concern grows at least a little.
Stephen Holder walking us through familiar territory with the Colts.
You say that again.
The Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Hey, safe travels to Foxborough, and we'll check in again next week and see what the hell happens this week, okay?
Well, I'm staying home this week. So
you are? Okay, well, we'll check in next week. Well, good.
I got stuff going on, but I'll be out there for the rest of it. So
that's good. All right. Well, hey, we'll still, you and I, gather next Monday to see what the hell happens regardless. Thanks, pal. Appreciate you. Stephen Holder there on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. This date in 1984. This is well before our good friend Caleb Zuver in the other studio. The Cold War classic Red Dawn. Now, since that point in time, more in your wheelhouse would probably be one of the world's crappier remakes. Have you ever seen Red Dawn, the crappy remake? But what about the 1984 original and the classic?
No dice.
Do you know these names? C. Thomas Howell. Do you know Jennifer Grey?
That one actually does sound familiar. I won't lie.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Dirty Dancing. Got a face redone. Still pretty smoke. How about Leah Thompson? She is still smoke. Did you ever see All the Right Moves? The football film from the early 80s? Tom Cruise? You saw a little side B, as I like to call it, from Leah Thompson back then. And if you if you paused it, you could see the more than the side B. You know what the side B is?
I do. All the right.
No, and the late great Patrick Swayze. Okay. And Charlie Sheen.
So All the Right Moves and Red Dawn are getting added.
Yes,
to this
All the Right
list
Moves
here that I still haven't even checked one of them off. So
add those. Red Dawn, the original, not the remake sucked. But this date in 84, Red Dawn came out. And it was probably outside of just being entertaining, and we know this to be true, the 1980s, there's no discussion, there's no debate. Seriously, it is the absolute best decade for anything. The best for entertainment, for TV, for movies, for music, for everything. Now, all you dorks out there are going to say, well, what about our phones and the smartphones? Yeah, shove them where the sun don't shine because you didn't need them. The 80s, by far, the greatest decade. And this marked a moment in entertainment history. This date back in 1984, even beyond the Cold War classic known as Red Dawn. I'll explain that coming up on the other side. I saw the Fever met with the media. See if you can peel a little bit of something out of that. I do not think that the whole situation after the game and the presser I've been talking about with Stephanie White, I don't think that was approached a little bit earlier, but there is a little bit of dialogue we can play. We'll do that coming up on the other side. Going to be a busy week. We'll explain. We'll come back coming up on the other side. But yes, the weather update we got for you, Fox 59. I just talked to my good friend Eric Wilson of Indiana's Best, Andy Moore Buick GMC, a little bit earlier today, in fact. And things are going great up there right now. The Buick Enclave, the hottest auto manufacturer to date right now, is Buick, and the Enclave is the best SUV out there in a variety of styles. Something is going to fit your budget, I promise you. The inventory, the service after the sale, and the incentives to buy. Look into with my friend Eric Wilson today, getting into a brand new ride like the Buick Enclave at Andy Moore Buick GMC. Tell him I sent you. 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
The Ride with JMV.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, talentless, and I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Caleb's over there. I'm John. Tomorrow, the NBA will officially announce opening night and Christmas Day. Will Dad Bod Sports and Rooster be accurate? Will the Pacers and the Knicks lead off Christmas Day from Madison Square Garden? Or might we get to make fun of them for being incredibly misinformed? We'll find out coming up tomorrow. Dad Bod Sports and Rooster have a lot riding on this coming up tomorrow, the official announcement.
To be a fly on the wall wherever they are.
One of these days, it would be nice if we find out the type of television content provider that the Pacers are going to have. I'm assuming it is going to be DAZN. I'm telling you, don't jack with people around here. People are sick and tired of being jacked with. That has to be it, right? Because we've heard absolutely nothing else. Would it be a pleasant surprise if it was something incredibly affordable and easy to find? Yes. But unfortunately, I believe that everybody out there thinks that we're going to be jacked with. What was that price tag again for DAZN a month?
Like 34 something
$34
like that.
a month. Let me tell you something, Pacers. There's zero way people are going to do that around here. None. So I would guess the more that you're on national TV, the better off. And believe me, there are no bigger fans than me of Denary, Quinn, JJ, and Eddie. And I'll have to spend it. But I'll feel like I've been jacked with and be pissy all the way.
I don't know if we can shine light because the Timberwolves finalized their agreement with DAZN. So that's like.
So what was it? Do you have it in front of you right here?
And this is what I'm trying to look.
Okay.
But what it says here on their website, because there's a frequently asked questions about this This is Timberwolves specific. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, this is not Pacers or anybody else. It's
but
just Minnesota and their deal.
Shine a light into what we might see here. One of them is how much will a DAZN subscription cost and what are the subscription options? This is all it says here. DAZN will offer various Timberwolves subscription options, including a season pass and monthly plans. Full pricing, promotional offers, and purchase details will be announced once launched. So looks like there's at least some flexibility with this, but it looks like it's going to be season monthly.
Is DAZN offered via DirecTV? It is not.
I don't think so.
Or nothing cable.
It's going to be an app.
Not direct. It's going to be an app that's going to be spinning around like crazy and jacking with everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it says, how do I access the Timberwolves on DAZN? And it says Timberwolves subscriptions will be available for purchase on the DAZN app before the season begins. So, yeah. It does say here, though, in addition, 15 games will be shown for free for any fan who creates a free DAZN account. So 15 of them will be for free, but then it remains to be seen what happens with the rest of them. This is just an example of the Timberwolves.
The Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think I like that.
I don't either.
I don't think I like any of this. And I expect me to be incredibly pissy upon announcement. I don't want to be pissy. I don't like you. I mean, a lot of you guys say, well, you're pissy all the time. You seem like you like it. I don't like it whatsoever. The next 2 years, man, don't mess it. Just don't mess with it. We'll see. I don't know if anybody else around here can help, any of the local channels. God knows they all stink and there's nothing good on them anyway.
Well, I was going to say, too, speaking of that, I did see something today, John, with the Pistons.
Yeah.
Now, this is like, there were some stations that agreed to broadcast their games locally in Detroit, and then there was Grand Rapids, which is a city like an hour or two away. There's stations there that are broadcasting them locally for free starting this fall.
Okay.
So that's
yeah.
So the Timberwolves thing might be kind of like a negative look at it, but then there's also like some stations are making it look positive, I guess.
So free and easy would be a great way to go about it. I hope it is. And we'll find out tomorrow with the NBA schedule for opening night and for Christmas Day. And we'll find out if Rooster and if Dad Bod Sports would be accurate regarding the Pacers and the Knicks to lead things off on Christmas Day. I'd mention this date, 1984, Red Dawn, Cold War action classic. A lot of the Brat Pack, a lot of those from the 80s that we still love today involved, but most noted for what? It became the first movie, Caleb, with the newly created PG-13 rating. The first movie, PG-13.
That's where it all started,
Red Dawn in 1984. Did you know? Now you know. It's weird, like they're all sitting in class in Colorado, and all of a sudden all these paratroopers come parachuting down. And I think the teacher gets smoked, like, right out of the gate. It gets serious, man.
You're saying this PG-13?
It's PG-13. Okay. That's why it's PG-13, probably right out of the gate.
I think we need to get a segment on here that's Did You Know? And it could just be you
Yes.
with your random
Yes, we do.
fact of
We
the day.
need that. Need that. PG-13 it is. All right, the Fever had a meeting with the media a little bit earlier today. The Fever in New York, actually back-to-back games. On Friday, we're going to be down there. Is Debbie and Pat going to join us coming up on Friday?
That's the plan. It looks like it's going to be in the last hour of the show.
That's
They're going to
cool.
be hanging out.
That's great. Well, I'll be all half in the bag by then. That'll be great radio. That'll be great. Yes, so that's on Friday. Hurst Lamontes will bring us to you live from the Pivot Balcony Bar. And you know this, as downtown locations go, one of my favorites, just right across Pennsylvania from Cambridge Fieldhouse. Back-to-back games. New York coming up tomorrow night. Dallas coming up on Friday night. We will be down at Pivot Balcony Bar. And we'll get Pat and Debbie with us coming up on Friday in that final hour, as you mentioned, too. And we'll have a lot going on, considering that'll be coming off that first preseason game with the Colts. Keep in mind, on Thursday, 4:30 for the Colts pregame huddle will start in the middle of the show. And we're going to have a lot more in the Colts pregame with us of Rick Venturi this season. That is going to be outstanding. Less of me, more of Rick is always incredibly good. That starts coming up on Thursday. Rakestraw hanging with us tomorrow. I should mention Pelot, but again, it's kind of what you know. A winner in Portland yesterday in IndyCar, and maybe some things we haven't hit. I was watching what the Reds were doing this weekend. Just an absolute disaster to go along with a disastrous season for that group. We saw once again. I should have, and I have checked out altogether right now, and rightly so. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Final time, you and I on the other side, too. State Fair free throw shooting competition coming up on Saturday, 11 until 1. A chance for you to compete with me and win a family 4-pack of passes to the Indiana State Fair. Clayton Anderson, free show coming up tomorrow night at the Indiana State Fair. More on that and then some to close the show. Caleb, me, all that and more to close out with you coming up next. John for Connecticut. Connecticut Water Systems in your home, the best water possible. And let Joe at Connecticut.com. You sign up for that free in-home test. And here's why. If you don't have Connecticut, you don't have the best. And Connecticut will give you just that. And what is so important, they find out exactly what you need. And then they cobble together a system exclusive to those needs. This is not one size fits all in a water system. This is something, again, that is specific to your home water needs. That's what is different about Connecticut, and that's what Joe and the gang can do for you. But first things first, start with your very own in-home free water test today by signing up. Tell them I sent you online, Connecticut.com. You want the best in plumbing. That's Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing and Drains at 317-927-7186. All right, so you're going to ask me a question. Why? Because no matter your plumbing needs, they get the job done. Something that is not important, it's just been on your mind, you want to do, like a garbage disposal, removal, and a new one in there. You know, maybe it's a clogged drain someplace in and around your home or its foundation. But, you know, all of a sudden, maybe you lose water pressure. What's going on there? You have leakage. Last thing you want is leakage. And how can you maintain? You go with the absolute best. Lance and his local team with LD Smith Plumbing and Drains at 317-927-7186, celebrating an anniversary of their high-level greatness. And always for your plumbing needs, that's the first call that you make. 317-927-7186. That's LD Smith Plumbing and Drains online, ldsmithplumbing.com. WeGrowHairEndy.com. That's Darren Andrews, 317-522-2995. Wednesday, I'm going, and I'm going to get the treatment. And the treatment is something they utilize to maintain the real growing hair. It works, and it's really kind of not altogether new, but it's kind of new. And the reason why I bring it up is over the past 9 years, I've been with Darren and WeGrowHairEndy.com at 317-522-2995. They have constant innovations, and they continue finding out what is even better to maintain your real growing hair. And if you want that, that's exactly what you get. 317-522-2995. Tell them I sent you today. WeGrowHairEndy.com.
The Ride with JMV.
This is how I eat corn on the cob. I boil it, I go shirtless out on my back deck, eat it, like I ravage it, and then throw the cob out into the back 40.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You know, I think just from a humanistic perspective and life lesson perspective, you know, I think our group does a really good job of responding. I think our group does a really good job of pouring into one another, keeping the main thing, of understanding that there are a lot of folks out there who want to divide us.
Yeah, and while that is true, Caitlin Clark does the best with that. I mean, even with the technicals and, you know, getting one more, having the one rescinded on Saturday, which was, you know, the easiest call to make of all time, to rescind that. But to put yourself in that situation, it is one thing. But I most admire of Caitlin Clark is how she just goes about wanting to play basketball. And I think that helps galvanize a locker room and a team that, as Stephanie White mentioned right there, can often be compromised because of all the outside talk and the verbal grifters, those that want to hijack the storylines or make themselves, thrust themselves into it. A couple things happened on Saturday. One is the Fever won. The other is you had a couple of incredibly easy calls. Dejanay Carrington, that was a reckless defensive play and deserving of an ass tossing. See ya. And then the whole white privilege thing in the locker room, and everybody has had a comment about that. Everybody knows what it means. And now you try to double back where you don't really know what it means. Yeah, everybody knows what it means. Had nothing to do with the foul call and then the ejection. The move, your actions doing that had everything to do with it. There was no way, and you watch ESPN, the ESPN folks in that booth. Who are they? There's a Monica McNutt and then
studio analyst,
whatever. Yeah. You know, the video you showed to say, well, this is just what she does. I don't know what she does or what she doesn't, but I know this. I rarely see in women's basketball anybody that blocks a shot that's not just taller or blocking from behind on the interior. There's no way you're going to block that. The only thing you were going to do was knock Sophie Cunningham to the floor with a forearm elbow to the neck. And the right call there was made. It had nothing to do with anything personal or nothing to do of who the foul was on or the team you were playing against. But the massive error after the game was Stephanie White just doing what she's talking about right there. You know, further galvanizing your huddle and your locker room by denouncing the action. You don't have to suggest there was absolute intent because nobody really knows, but you know that to be egregious. You know it to be reckless, and you can describe it as such. Now, people like me would just say it was a dumbass play. That's what it was. And I don't care if it were Sophie Cunningham or Caitlin Clark or anybody. In 1985, if you want to come down and clothesline somebody on the break, all right. But in 2026, can't do it. And everything, the way that it was officiated, all that was accurate, but you just want to see, and believe me, I'm a backer of Stephanie White. I don't mind her coaching. Everybody else does because everybody else blames her for absolutely everything. In this case, I blame her because that was an easy opportunity to further galvanize this team and make sure that you can continue to defend those that don't have your best interest in mind. You didn't take advantage of it. That's unfortunate. Caleb, great job out of you. Brendan Dudas, our good friend from Southport, the New York Green Apples wiffle ball champions, Stephen Holder, podcast 1075thefan.com. Busy tomorrow. Caleb, they want your X handle, too. People like Caleb.
Zeus 35.
93.5 and 1075 The Fan. Have a great night.